Hey everyone, it's Wednesday, time for Wisdom Wednesday. Last week I started talking about a book that I'm reading and still in the process of reading called Brain Energy by Chris Palmer, who is a Harvard psychiatrist. And in working my way through this book, I am realizing he is building upon the idea that mental illness, just like many of the other chronic diseases that we have in our world today, neurodegenerative changes, Alzheimer's, many cancers, many metabolic disorders, really at the source and at the initial issue and concern of these problems really is a cellular metabolic mitochondrial dysfunction. And so I thought that prior to kind of trying to walk you through his thinking and the pathway that he is going down, I would just review metabolism and walk through that a little bit so that maybe we can reset our minds in what we think metabolism is. We just think metabolism has to do with someone that has a slow metabolism, seems to have a hard time losing weight or tends to be overweight, and someone with a really fast metabolism tends to be thin and active and all of those types of things. And I think that really in truth, our bodies have an inherent ability to keep our metabolism at a good working pace if we know how to manage that. So let's kind of walk through this. So metabolism basically is the overall chemical reaction in our body from taking food energy and turning it into ATP energy at a cellular level. It's the conversion of the energy in food to the energy that we need to run our cells. It also is the conversion of food into building blocks for proteins and lipids and all kinds of amino acids and some carbohydrate metabolism as well. And then lastly, it also has to do with the elimination of metabolic wastes in terms of different types of metabolism. We have two different forms. We have catabolism or catabolic activity, which is that building up, or catabolic, which is actually the tearing down, and anabolic, which is building up in terms of metabolic processes. There's that recycling and that building up and tearing down. And just like in bone health, for instance, we have cells that build bone and we have cells that take bone away in a recycling process. And we have all heard perhaps the term basal metabolic rate. And that basal metabolic rate is the rate of metabolism just while we're at rest. And this includes things like breathing, having energy to breathe, having energy to circulate blood, which is the pumping of our heart, the energy to digest food, the energy to grow and renew cells, managing hormone levels, regulating body temperature. This is about 60 to 70% of the calories needed in the body to perform all of these functions and basically at rest. So that's the vast majority of the energy that we have in our body goes to these things, just breathing and circulating blood, renewing cells, etc. About 10% has to do with digestion, and the rest is just our physical activity, movement of our muscles and moving around. So the vast majority of our caloric intake goes to this basal metabolic rate of just doing the basic things that occur when we're at rest. So understanding that, I think, has implications as far as understanding what happens when we are trying to lose weight and you lose weight rapidly. Your basal metabolic rate is going to fall substantially. And as such, when you stop dieting and are concerned about gaining weight back, yes, because now you have reset your basal metabolism And any increase in caloric intake is going to go into storage and therefore weight gain. So understanding that is really important as far as metabolism is concerned. There are many endocrine disorders that are problematic as far as metabolism goes. Certainly having a low thyroid, having high cortisol, these hormonal discrepancies can affect metabolism. There are also diseases that have to do with what we call inborn errors of metabolism, things like Tay-Sachs disease and Gaucher's disease, different types of odd ducks, if you will, in terms of identification from a genetic standpoint that puts people at risk for having poor metabolism. Even mitochondrial diseases can be associated with poor metabolism. And these things can affect many aspects of our metabolic rate. But what are the things just inherently that most folks have that can affect it? Well, the things that have it really have to do with it is muscle mass. And we've talked about muscle being sort of that metabolic currency. Having more muscle is going to be more metabolically active in our body. And so as we age, which age is another factor as far as metabolism is concerned, we tend to lose muscle. So that's why I keep preaching, maintain your muscle, because that's where the majority of our metabolism tends to be. Sex certainly is part of it, whether you're male or female. Males just tend to have a higher metabolism and a higher metabolic rate when measured by certain different types of parameters than women do. Our genetics play a role in it. Physical activity plays a role. People who smoke have lower metabolisms, and people who have disrupted sleep. This tends to affect our metabolic rate as well. So what are the things that we have control over as far as metabolism is concerned? And what we'll be talking about in the next few weeks, hopefully as I finish this book, are going to have to do with things that we can do to affect our own metabolic rate. Well, certainly if you're a smoker, you need to stop smoking, and that sort of goes without really saying. But in terms of other things that we have control over, we don't have really control over aging, but we can optimize our sleep. We can increase our movement, exercise, always going to be good. We can determine how we want to fuel our body. Overfueling is going to mean more storage and lower metabolism. And also doing strength training. So again, that muscle work. So these are just some ideas that I have and have explored with you to give you a basic understanding that metabolism really has more to do with just weight up and down and having a fast metabolism, slow metabolism. Our bodies really inherently want to run at a level that is commensurate, say, with a high-functioning machine, a Lamborghini, rather than just a small little Volkswagen. I mean, all of us really have that ability if we understand a little bit more about our own biology and what tends to work well. And hopefully as we move forward in looking at not only just mental illness, but also other chronic diseases. But right now, because that's kind of what I'm focused on in reading this book and I want to share with you, we'll be looking at how a metabolic disorder and the body can predispose us to mental illness, and how using these tools of exercise and choosing how we feed ourselves and doing strength training, all of these things, sleeping well, play a vital role in keeping us mentally healthy. You all have a great week. Next week, I hope that I will be holding a grandbaby in my arms because my first grandchild is due and I'm heading to Louisiana, so I'll be doing my Wisdom Wednesday there. And hopefully we'll be having a celebration of a new grandbaby, but it just depends on how things go. But hopefully we'll be able to report that in and let you know. I do want you to know that I will be taking some Texas soil so that I can put that baby's feet in some Texas soil, so that the first soil that baby gets her feet in is going to be Texas soil and not Louisiana soil. That's my plan anyway. We'll see. You all have a great week. Talk again next week.